Hello, my name is Orsini, and today I will be going over my presentation of my final graphic design senior exhibit. Our senior exhibit was to go take a social issue that we individually as senior students got to pick, and we had to explore this social issue through a couple different projects. The issue that I chose is quite a hot topic in our world, but particularly the artist and design world, would be the dangers of artificial intelligence, or better known as AI. As a designer and an artist, I'm very passionate about this. Artificial intelligence, like anything else, I believe is a tool. However, I think that it has grown exponentially and it hasn't been met with the correct amount of borders to keep it safe. I also think that there is a lot of negative environmental impacts and a whole multitude of other things that I do explore in my presentation. So without further ado, let's get into it. Looking at my exhibit board, I wanted to mimic the interface of artificial intelligence chatbots, primarily ChatGPT. So in doing this, I had a lot of my groundwork already laid out, which was really nice. A couple motifs that I explored would be the utilization of a monochromatic color theme, which also happened to utilize very high contrast in order to keep things legible. There are some very simple, clean graphics that are pretty fun to put together, and then sans serif typefaces were also utilized pretty well. So looking at my left panel, I wanted viewers' eyes to be drawn up immediately to my slogan for the exhibit, which is, what does it really cost to use ChatGPT? It's a witty little phrase, but it also gets you thinking, because what does it cost to type your question into ChatGPT as opposed to Google? Your eyes are then guided down through the graphs and the supplemental information. You'll go to the right side as your eyes are pulled up to the fountain graphic, which is a bold white, and your eyes are drawn straight to that, the supplementary information present there, and then all the way down to the final bubble with the clock and the Empire State Building. Here is what it would look like in a 3D setting as opposed to a flat rendering. This is a detailed shot of the left side, where you can see the information translated pretty well. The halftone effect on the graphs did a good job at giving a little bit of visual noise, but not enough to make it feel messy. All right, looking at my interactive element, it's actually two things. So the first would be the clock. The clock would go and run from the start of the exhibit to the hypothetical end of the exhibit if this were to be displayed in a real life setting. The clock, I wanted it to show the heaviness of the amount of time that truly passes with the phrase below it. So the wording that I have below reads, this amount of energy could keep the whole Empire State Building running for 540 days straight. I really wanted the gravity of the amount of time that I specified in here to be felt by the viewers. And so in order to make it truly impactful, I would have this clock that would start counting from the beginning of the exhibit all the way to the end. And then to grab just a little bit more attention, each of these white dots present on the Empire State Building would be an individual peg light that is placed directly into the display board. I would have the entire building very slowly and gently flashing on and off, just to get a little bit of motion that would draw people towards the exhibit, but not enough to invoke any epilepsy or any negative visual stimulation. So the hardest spread I would say to lay out would be the senior photos. There was just such a large volume of pictures to use, and they all happened to be different sizes, different aspects. Some of them were landscape, square, some were portrait, and it was just a lot of pictures. I at first wanted to just keep it on one page, but then it just felt like you couldn't properly see who every unique person was. So I decided to go with an arrangement of 3 rows, each having 10 pictures, and I believe I ended up doing around 5 spreads of senior pictures. So Yeah, it was pretty hard, but I ended up finding a clean grid system that utilized even margins and I think allowed each picture to shine pretty well in its own light. My favorite and I think most effective spread would be actually my table of contents. I think when leaning into the artificial intelligence narrative, visual narrative, it just worked the best for this. It was such a simple page. The colors just everything seemed to complement, nothing seemed to overshadow, and I really liked the fun little witty comment of what can I help you find today? I think it went with the tone of my booklet, and then it's almost as if, while you're looking for a page in my booklet, you're going to this chatbot, except the chatbot is just the design that I have presented saying, what can I help you find? Here's everything laid out that you could want to look for. And so it's been a wild ride with ASU, and I'm incredibly excited to graduate. I am excited to be a graphic designer, and I